Hey, I'm the Dr. Bob Lee, and you're watching Open. It's that live interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. Stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Leading things off, our next guest are an award-winning director, an editor, writer, and host of the leading actors of the film, The Burden of 9 Lives. They join us to highlight the work done on the film and to promote its upcoming premiere. It's here. It's happening. It's on and popping. It's lit. Please welcome to the show Vega Montanez, Steven Staine Fernandez, and Luis Berrio.
Pretend there's an audience.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You hear the audience? You heard the audience? At home and in the studio.
I love it.
Listen, you guys were here before, no stranger to the show. And where were you at that point? You were just getting it done?
At that point, we had just finished it up, and we were doing the New York City premiere downtown on 59th Street. So now here we are almost exactly a year later.
Here we are.
And it's coming to everybody's home. Well, it's in everybody's home on Amazon Prime now. You can
there
watch
you
it
go.
right on
You're
Amazon Prime.
Right on point. So give us a quick synopsis of how it all
Jimmy Diaz, played by our good friend Steven Staine Fernandez, goes on a revenge mission after he confronts Gabriel, one of the more dangerous drug dealers in the city. And throughout his revenge mission ends up pissing off the true kingpin of the city, Russell, played by Luis Berrio. And we get to see the excitement and chaos that he drives throughout the whole city while we explore the ideas of street vengeance versus just letting things go.
Yeah. So are you still in character? Because some people stay in character.
I never like letting things go. I just hold on to them for dear life. Just texting him for now. No, you know, it's one of those things you make the character human as possible. You take bits and moments and you just hone in on them. And and then going through these scenarios, which he did go through, it's a life-changing. You know, nice kid with a great heart, and all of a sudden he's just, there is the vengeance element, but there is also the good-hearted part that he's just like looking to, in his own terms, in his own way, make things right. And he just got caught up in it, and it's a dark world. He got caught up in it, but you know, he did what he had to do, as many have to, and he came out strong in his own way. I would put it like that.
Was it tough, Louis, studying your character?
Well, I feel like any other character, there's always a backstory.
Yeah.
You know, he is king of the city. He's the big man on campus. So the idea is, you know, you have to act like the big man on campus. And the idea is, you know, the story of, you know, who likes being betrayed. Even the big mean guys don't like being betrayed about certain things. But I think the idea is like he's not looking to hurt nobody unless they mess with him. So his idea is like, you know, you leave me alone, we have no issue. But we decided to poke the bear. I don't know where that goes.
Yep.
Now wait a minute. How do you take your characters home after you work, like after a day's work?
I mean, you do your best not to. I'll put it like that. You do your best not to, because if
I
you
gotta
did,
leave this home. This is
you bring in some plates. But you just go and prepare, do the best things you can. But I will admit, there are some scenes that are dark, that are intense, that are some moments that, you know, if you do it right and you do it as truthful as possible, it's a balance, but your body may not even distinguish that, no, that's not your mom. No, that's not your dad. No, that's not your brother. But that moment right there, the intensity of it, the truthfulness of it, maybe whatever you did to prepare. And I forget doing a scene for an audition, and I remember having to go back and forth with this girl over like an argument. And she was like, you know, if you're in an actual couple, she just gave me this advice, usually we'll trip over each other. And at the beginning, we kind of just like said it, and it just felt very, like, not much happening. But then we went at it having that in mind. We both have tears in our eyes.
Yeah.
That was acting, but there's something about the body that just couldn't distinguish. This felt truthful as possible because we just created that moment that for our bodies, it was like, this feels real. So there's an element of that.
Yeah, you know why I mention that, because some people get involved and so involved that they keep that character for a long time, and it's hard to get out of it. So that you can get into the next project.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's one of my favorite things about all the actors I work with is that extra level of commitment and engagement that they take it to, where they do really create those extended layers, right? Like there's stuff on the paper, but the backstories, what happened before we got to what we're seeing on the screen, right? Like all of those emotions. So I do sometimes wonder too, like how do you guys get back out of that afterwards? Because
It's always like that. I
it
think
gets pretty deep.
the moment before you go on set, and you mentally prepare yourself to go into something also, but the camera reads you too. The camera could look into your soul and see if the audience is gonna feel this too. I think De Niro says a line like, try to be still. Don't try to overact. Don't try to do too much. Let the camera read you, how you're feeling. It's so much about behavior than just words too.
Yeah. Is this method acting?
Nah, we didn't break anybody for real.
No.
I don't think
That's dangerous. Lewis's goons in the movie are both UFC fighters, but you know how bad it is.
That would be horrible. For me specifically, if they were mad. If they went in there not being aware of like you're like 200 pounds heavy.
Right.
So be gentle. I'll act. Don't worry. I can act my way into the vehicle. But yeah.
There's a scene in the movie where so heavyweight fighter Waldo Cortez Acosta from the UFC is in it, and his coach Javier Torres, who is a middleweight. There's a scene where they're with Steve and they hit him a couple times. So I thought of that immediately when you were like, "Did you do method acting?" I was like, no, not at all.
No, bring in the stunt double.
Just make it look good.
Bring the stunt double,
Just like,
please.
I'm going to move my head this direction, and you don't have to even get close to me.
Yep.
So that's one of those things.
Where does AI fit in? I remember walking a picket line trying to contain some of that AI.
Zero. There's zero AI in this film. No AI usage. I don't even think we got to use AI on like the poster arts. And I say get to because I feel like there's certain elements that you can play with.
You see it coming though.
Yeah,
right?
but I do think that from the AI perspective, right, it's just it turns the art into a science, right? Which I feel like this is unspoken. This is a little unspoken. It's a personal space for me as far as the audio thing, right? So audio is going to be the most affected by AI first because audio is all primarily science, right? It's like the science of figuring out decibels and what goes in the mix, what frequency, stuff like that. So that's a lot easier to computate with AI. I don't realistically believe you could ever computate human emotion and like the behavior, like Louis described. Like there's a lot of behavior that goes into it that you can't even really explain in a lot of cases, right? There's like even when I'm directing, there are moments where I don't actually give them instructions. I give them scenarios. I'm just like, hey, listen, this moment is happening right now, right? It feels like your mom was scolding you, right? Because you took a cookie when you were on punishment and you know you were in school, like those type of, because there isn't a very clear, like this concrete sentence is going to mean the same across the board and everybody's going to show you the same thing for sadness. Like that just doesn't exist. So I think that's where AI doesn't have as much of an impact, but on anything that's super science related to the arts, I think AI is going to destroy those fields.
And one of the main concerns, concerns from SAG-AFTRA and a lot of the actors was that say you have a group of extras, they come for one day. They come for one day, and then they film that, they get that, and then they don't have to come anymore because now you have the crowd. You have the people that were there the day before.
Yeah, so I feel like that's not AI though. That's
they
already been that's CG. Like they did that.
They've done that before.
Remember they did that for the baseball games during COVID. Like they had all the fake people in the crowd. Like it's not AI. It's just CG stuff. And I think it gets conflated too easily. But I do think it's kind of crazy, right? Like they could just film a crowd of people and never bring them back.
Right, they don't get paid
throw
anymore.
this crowd everywhere.
That was one of the concerns.
Major concern though, big concern because like you said.
As long as one thing is, as long as you're not using someone's image and likeliness and all the above without their consent, and their consent would be, listen, if you sign, then therefore this could be. But I think we should unite it as artists and say, no, you come to work, you should be paid, compensated accordingly. You showed up, you did your thing, and I think that's where we need to stand together. Technology has always come in and has helped, has adjusted and changed the world in its own way. But I think unity as us, especially as creatives, you understand that, but also you do your part. You can't just shrug and say, well, it's like, well, there's a lot of things that we can do. But I think the heart, the human element, I think you can't replace that.
Nah,
you can
not
bring
at
anything
all.
in the world, and there's something that we just, we're not replaceable in that sense, and that's a beautiful thing when you capture that in a camera.
Yeah, yeah.
And not only that, but who's watching it? Like when you see a great movie surpassing the acting, surpassing all these elements, is that human element,
Yeah.
that interaction, that moment, whatever that might be, that just brings you back to a scent when you were a child, just because of a scene or a sound or an element of a movie you saw.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful thing about this world and what we do.
And it's good to know all aspects of the business when you're doing a movie. Like Vega, we have a trailer coming up, all right?
Hey, let's
The
go. Let's
Burden of
put
Nine
the trailer
Lives.
up, baby.
Bring it in. Talk about it before we bring it in.
I'm actually really excited about this. So I think this would be the first time a lot of people see this trailer. We had a trailer for the premiere and it was really good, but for me, I felt like it was too long.
Yeah.
Right? It was just a little too long. It gave a lot of great info. So I was really excited when we got this back. We actually worked with a team out of the Dominican Republic to cut this trailer together.
Yeah.
So
Let's take a look.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
Hey, Mr. Diaz. How are you feeling today? Your cousin Donald and your friend Curtis were murdered in cold blood.
Where were you 2 nights ago?
He's gone. I really need your help on this one.
Marcus is dead.
Look at me, Jimmy.
Boom.
Woo!
That wasn't a long one, right?
Just like
That was much better. Get right
Nice,
to
nice.
it.
Yeah.
I hope it generates some excitement.
Yeah, yeah. So what did it take to just sew everything up and put this together? And now it's out. Here we go. We're going to go. And
Yeah.
You got to also tell us where we can go watch it.
Yeah, you can definitely go watch it right on Amazon Prime. That's the first place I need everybody to go stream. The big thing with this business is relationship building, right? So building relationships with these studios gives us the opportunity to do more of them, right? So that's the key, because that's the hardest part. Going into the other part of the question, right? The hardest part really comes down to the funding and development of it, and then the distribution, right? Like those are really the most difficult parts. In between, everything else is a lot of really creative work and the fun parts and the engagement. We get to do the acting, the filming, the editing. But before that, it's the really heavy business sides. So that's the toughest part, like getting the investors. And then once you have a movie finished, going through the process of getting it on a platform like Prime or Tubi or any of those.
Everybody get involved.
That's right.
It's right here, The Burden of 9 Lives. And you can go to
Amazon Prime.
Amazon
Check it out.
Prime.
Yep.
And you can go, you have a website, social
Yeah,
media.
you can type in theburden9lives.com. That'll bring you right to the website. We're actually going to be putting up a game similar to what we did with our Nico film release, where we had a little adventure scavenger hunt for a chance to win free tickets to the movie theaters for a year.
Beautiful.
So there'll be some cool stuff going on there. But like I said, check out Burden of 9 Lives. I think you guys are going to love the incredible performances these guys put on.
There you go. Vega, Steve, and Louis, give them a big round of applause in the studio and at home, too. We thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. We'll take a quick break. I've got more open coming up next.